Austin Powers, International Man of Mystery, baby, yeah! Released in 1997, and it's directed by Jay Roach, who is also behind the other Austin Powers films, Meet the Parents and The Campaign. The film stars Mike Myers, Elizabeth Hurley, Seth Green, Mindy Sterling, Michael York, Will Ferrell, and Mike Myers again. And we are still on our journey to episode 100 and beyond, and along the way we are covering this film because I know every single word to this movie. I quoted it all of the time growing up in middle school, in high school, and looking back on it now, I'm pretty sure I probably annoyed a lot of people growing up. Constant Austin Powers and Dr. Evil, it was the same lines I repeated over and over and over again. How did I have any friends growing up? It's the 1960s and Austin Powers is the greatest spy on the planet. Austin Powers is known for capturing evil bad guys, being irresistible to women, and facing off against Mr. Evil. Dr. Evil, I didn't go to 7 years of evil medical school to be called Mr. Thank you very much. And Dr. Evil hatches a plan to freeze himself, only to be reincarnated 30 years later and wreak evil all over the world. So now the year is 1997, and both of these men are unfrozen and wreaking havoc on each other while trying to fit into the world around them. And looking back on this movie for me, I was actually a little late to the game when this movie came out. I hadn't really seen it until several months after it came out on VHS. Remember? VHS? No, probably not. But the first time my family rented this video, we popped it in and I couldn't get enough of it. This was one of those movies that I would watch over and over and over again until you got those little weird lines that popped up on the VHS tape. This film to me was absolutely hilarious. Austin Powers was funny, but I really latched on to Dr. Evil. Dr. Evil, basically a combination from the James Bond villains Dr. No and Blofeld. The way he talked, his little pinky mannerism, I was just so attracted to it. He has all the best lines in this movie too. I have one simple request, and that is to have sharks with frickin' laser beams attached to their heads. Now my cycloptic colleague tells me that that can't be done. Can someone tell me what I pay you people for? I mean, honestly, throw me a frickin' bone here before you start. That was a preemptive shh. Just knowing I have a whole bag of shh with your name on it. I'm with it. I'm hip. And me being a naive teenager, I didn't realize for a long time that Mike Myers actually played Dr. Evil and Austin Powers. You know, it was 97. I was still young. I was still naive. Give me a break. In all actuality, Mike Myers just struck gold with this character and this franchise. The idea of parroting James Bond, who was one of the biggest international characters out there at the time, was just freaking brilliant. And to do it the way he does, because Austin Powers is, stereotypically not that attractive. The messy hair, the glasses, the yellowish, greenish teeth, the T chest hair that's not trimmed up at all. But in this world that Mike Myers created, he is irresistible. And I think it's just absolutely hilarious to watch. But what I did realize this time watching it is that some of the humor for me sometimes didn't hold up. And I can't really explain what it was. I don't know if it's because I've seen this a million times, or if I think I was just thinking about Austin Powers Goldmember, where they did all of these innovative jokes that they did in this movie. They did them to death in that one. There was a lot of perspective comedy with this film. So someone would be standing in the background, someone would be standing in the foreground. Say the person in the background is naked, person in the foreground would constantly cover the genitalia with some inanimate object. Sometimes it's something simple like a phone, sometimes it's with a breakfast sausage. And in this movie, it's absolutely hilarious. But then the sequel, The Spy Who Shagged Me, and then the other sequel, Goldmember, came out, and they just did that joke to death. I actually really liked The Spy Who Shagged Me, but Goldmember I was just not a fan of at all. So I don't know if it's because I just didn't find it funny this time, or that I just kept thinking about those other movies and how these jokes were just done to death. Or maybe just thinking about how I quoted this movie every single day growing up and how I must have annoyed every single person I came in contact with. It's still a fun, enjoyable watch, though. The design of this movie is great. I think Austin Powers' blue suit is stellar. I like seeing the contrast from the 60s to the 90s. The 60s really embraced a lot of color and a lot of self-expression and a lot of drugs. Whereas when we switch to the 90s, you see a lot of just kind of basic either earth tones or very cold grayish tones. In particular with the costume design, which makes Austin Powers stick out like a sore thumb. Woo! That is one crazy getup, my friend. You in the show? No, actually, I'm English. Oh, sorry. Right. The supporting cast does their best to keep up with Mike Myers' comedy. Elizabeth Hurley, I think, is a nice foil for him, and I actually really like Michael York. I never learned his name until today. Michael York, one of the most distinguished voices I've ever heard, and there's no way that I can replicate it. Damn it, man, you're talking about my mother! See? Nothing. But this film has so many great one-liners that is why that this film has stood the test of time. Well, at least for 20 years. That's not a woman, it's a man. I'll stay. I suggest you hit, sir. I also like to live dangerously. You seem surprised to see me, Miss Vagina. Well, what, you're not even gonna watch them? I mean, they could get away. No, I'm just gonna leave them alone and not witness them die. I'm just gonna assume it all went to plan. What? What I really appreciate about this film is how it just puts in the foreground all of the chauvinistic and just how crappy of a person James Bond is just to everyone that he comes in contact with. And how someone like that, who's so chauvinistic, just couldn't exist in the world today. And that's the struggle that we see Austin Powers go through. In the 60s, he was hip, he was rad, men wanted to be him, women wanted to be with him. But now 30 years later, society has changed and we strive for a more equality setting in the world. What we have now is freedom and responsibility. It's a very groovy time. So in the end, everyone, Austin Powers' International Man of Mystery is still hilarious to me, but sometimes the jokes didn't land for me like they did back in 1997. And I don't think it's because the comedy didn't age well. The jokes are still hilarious if you haven't seen this before. I just think for me, it was because I've seen this so many times and I've seen the sequels, so I've seen these type of jokes be done and just railed into the ground. Yes, we did get some different comedic beats in the second one, but the third film was just a whole rehash of both the first and the second one. So no matter how hard I try, I just really can't separate Goldmember away from this movie. But it still brings back a lot of great memories. Again, I apologize to anyone that I grew up with if I annoyed you to death with quoting this film. I am sorry. Or maybe it was just my evil plan. So I'm gonna give Austin Powers International Man of Mystery 4 out of 5 Blu-rays.
It's good. It's good. It's good.
Alright, we are moving right along and keeping on track with our journey to episode 100 of Caleb Watches Movies, and the next episode is a movie from my favorite director. This is a pretty easy one if you know who I am. He's a relatively newer director. He's not a classical one, but I have loved every single movie that he has put out, so yeah, it's an easy choice. He is my favorite director. And I guess a hint from the movie that I'm going to be reviewing for him would be, shouldn't be afraid to dream of something a little bigger, darling. I don't know what that was. It's a line from the movie. So everyone, have you seen Austin Powers' International Man of Mystery? If you have, what did you think about it? If you've never seen it before, you stumbled across it because of this video, please comment below, let me know what you thought about it. And when you're done commenting, please like and subscribe to my channel so you know the next time I post my next movie review. So everyone, I will see you next time with a film from my favorite director. So in the meantime, be well, be good to each other, and go watch a movie. Take care, guys.